welcome to the MadTrio podcast. This week we have the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James, the Fat Man Stevens, Rob, the old guy.
The old guy's here from the Rob Charney Show.
And holy shit, it's Monday. Ryan Preston decided to show up.
Hey.
So we're gonna start with my favorite story of the week.
Uh-oh.
Logan Paul thought the Mayweather exposition was going to be cute, but now he says it's effing personal. I don't know if you heard the story. Jake Paul, I guess, is a YouTuber. He grabbed Floyd the Money Mayweather's hat in this exposition or whatever. And the first thing is you're going to grab somebody's hat who's considered one of the greatest boxers of all time, and who's even at his age now is insanely fast.
Okay.
Not fast enough to keep his hat.
Obviously not.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, well, he was already planning on boxing him, but which is a bad enough idea as it is. Making it personal.
Probably
maybe
not a good idea.
Maybe good, maybe bad when it comes down to a particular strategy, though, because Mayweather is the greatest defensive boxer of all time. You know, might be the greatest like sweet science when you just consider it that kind of boxer of all time. But there's no argument for him being against him being the greatest defensive boxer. But if you can get him out of being defensive and get him going at somebody angry,
hasn't Floyd
fighting angry has never historically really been a great idea.
Well, hasn't Floyd been boxing since he was like 6? Versus Logan Paul just picked it up with like the last
3, but yeah.
Come on, isn't this is just bait to get more people to watch it? Come on, this is not real. That's all this is.
Fans.
Well, let's be honest though. I
think he's a douche.
Yeah.
Well, it's oh god, who's that? The Irishman who owns the whiskey was the MMA fighter.
Conor McGregor.
Yes, because wasn't it Conor McGregor versus Khabib, where Conor McGregor was saying all sorts of nasty things about him, and Khabib just absolutely decimated him. Completely kind of.
No. He very much had made that a personal thing, and Khabib Nurmagomedov is a very, very proud person.
A very bad man too.
And I mean, just one of the most dangerous people on the planet. You know,
Conor McGregor is not a nice person anyway.
Well, this is like
so that doesn't bother me.
This is what I was thinking about. This
Conor
Logan
McGregor knows what he's doing when it comes to how to market a fight. You know, how you market a movie is being nice to people and doing the circuit and stuff. How you market a fight is you make people think,
you're an asshole.
These two dudes hate each other. This is going to be a grudge match. And, you know, either that or historically speaking, you sell the white versus black angle.
I'm really hoping this is kind of like Golden Boy versus Pacquiao, because I want to see Floyd Mayweather just absolutely decimate Logan Paul or whatever his name is, just because I think it'd be hilarious.
Never lost in his professional career.
I don't like Mayweather, but I mean, I don't like Logan Paul more. So I kind of go with the lesser of two evils.
I like Floyd.
I don't know. I got a lot of respect for Floyd Mayweather. He's an interesting cat, and I wouldn't say I would handle everything the way that he would. But I think he knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, Floyd Mayweather, I think I have respect to him because he's a legitimate boxer, has a legitimate record, and from what I've heard about the Logan Paul fights, and I've read a little bit into them. A lot of the people I've been reading says it's kind of like the Rocky 2 fights, the beginning where it's all fake, all these components are chosen, it's nobody special. And one person I read, I wish I remember the name, said as soon as he gets in the ring with a real boxer, the dude's gonna wish he was hugging his mother.
I think it's all.
I can't remember who said it. Some interview I was listening to, but they were talking about like wanted to learn boxing. He's like, yeah, I really wanted to learn. I wanted to learn boxing until I met somebody who really wanted to box.
If you've ever had an opportunity to stand there and watch an actual professional fighter warm up and see, one, how hard they're hitting, and two, how fast they're hitting. I mean, if you've been right up in the ring, it scares the shit out of you because it is unbelievable. and I don't care how old Mayweather is. He's not going to see it coming.
So apparently, Logan's brother Jake Paul. By the way, I have no idea who these people legitimately are. Besides a bunch of YouTubers, apparently he's been banned from the arena or wherever they're going to do it.
Yeah.
The trouble started when he untied Mayweather's shoelaces on stage. So I'm trying to think where.
Sounds like WWE shit, right?
Untied his shoes.
Come on.
Did he tie them together?
Yeah, I was going to say this
Lord.
This is WWE meets Keystone Cops.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Goodness gracious.
let's hear another story. I've had enough of this. I don't want to give him any more airtime.
So, man in India, this is actually the headline. Man in India killed by his own knife-wielding bird before an illegal cockfight.
Oh, great.
Oh, jeez.
They put that.
Okay.
They put those knife blades onto the talons of these cocks.
It's on the rear, right? Or they just do
yeah.
it
And
on the rear
Yeah.
one.
They
Oh,
put it
yeah.
on the rear spike that the roosters actually have. They have these spikes that come out of the back of their heel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they put knives on them.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy put a 3-inch knife on the back of its leg, and it tried to escape. And in the midst of the bird trying to escape, he basically got impaled on the blade in his groin
Cut his
and bled out.
femoral.
Oh God, what was that? What was that Japanese movie with the guy? Was it Ichi the Killer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the heel fucking
Yeah,
blade.
that's
Oh,
what that.
yeah.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
So that's hilarious. The guy got.
Well, I'm sorry for his family, but if he's dumb enough to do that, it's karma, right? It's
So do you think the newspaper, like the headlines, and then the Chinese newspaper would be like Americans because they'd probably say "man killed by own cock," something like that.
well, this is India, but
or
okay.
India, yeah, like man's cock was
I
was
don't-
impaled
I
with his
don't know
own
if
cock.
it would, I don't know if it would translate.
It probably would.
Well,
I've known enough Indians in my life there.
for rooster as a dick.
Yeah.
I
I think English might be
We
unique
might
to
not
that.
have that as cock. I mean, John and mine, Chinese zodiac sign is a cock, so whatever.
there's got to be somebody, there's got to be an Indian version of Schwanz. I mean, come
I'm
on.
sure knowing Indians, I'm sure there's probably 10,000 different versions of it.
Right? No, there's definitely all kinds of words for dick in Chinese. However, is it the same word for a rooster? Because
Yeah.
otherwise, it wouldn't make sense.
It has to be.
It might. They'll figure a way around it, I'm sure.
How does that have to be?
It doesn't have to be, but
It's kismet.
in John's world, it has to be.
So
Apparently, this isn't
In John's
isolated
world,
incident
idioms
because
work in
there's,
every language.
exactly. That's a bingo.
Ah.
So did anybody know that Tom Arnold's sister was known as the Queen of Meth?
Yes.
Why would I want
Yeah.
to know anything about Tom Arnold's sister?
I was really surprised to know that at one point in time she was one of the nation's largest meth
I
dealers.
heard that, and I saw the article on that.
And because I always thought that Tom Arnold was a douchebag, and then I realized the fact that his childhood was very hard. That's one of the reasons I guess he's very quirky individual. Is he had a very fascinating.
Maybe it'll come out like Elon did, and he's got Aspergers too.
You know what the most interesting thing about that is?
What's that?
There's a lot of two things. Apparently, he wasn't the first person to.
No, and Dan Aykroyd was
But did Dan Aykroyd actually say he had Asperger's?
not on the air, but
So-
apparently people know it.
Well, technically, he would be the first person on air that had Asperger's that admit to it.
That announced it.
The other thing is a lot of people are pissed because apparently, and I didn't look this up. They said somewhere in 2013, around that time, Asperger's is no longer a thing. You're considered on the spectrum of autism.
It's on the bubble, right?
So they're saying that he was wrong by saying he's Asperger's instead of neurologically challenged. I don't understand the term.
Wait,
I like it
wrong or
neurologically.
just slightly politically incorrect.
Yeah, he got an amazing amount of heat for that.
it, yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, the guy's a billionaire who runs amazing companies. And if you paid attention to his Twitter account, being politically correct is pretty much the last thing he legitimately
Yeah, he
cares
doesn't
about.
care about that.
But
If I was a billionaire, I wouldn't care about it either.
I was just amazed that so many people were like, well, he's wrong. He doesn't have Asperger's. It's like, good grief, man.
It sucks that they're going after a guy with Aspergers.
I know.
Yeah, how about? You know,
I'm more impressed he successfully did that show, considering how awkward most of his interviews are.
Yeah, but the irony of going after the guy on the spectrum because he called it the wrong thing.
or
Yeah.
or that he called it. I mean, that anybody's questioning that anyway. I mean, come on. I mean,
And it's weird that they're going after Elon now. I mean, like he was everybody's favorite person. Now all of a sudden, everybody's choosing to attack Elon. It must be his time on the barrel because he's getting shit left.
You know what?
and right.
Everybody's jealous. I mean, let's face it. He's a billionaire. He's got a cool life. He goes around and does whatever the hell he wants to do. He's smart as hell. He develops these companies that are doing things that nobody else could do.
Well, who was
Everybody's jealous.
which one did he
I'll
came?
tell you what, I'm fine with all of it because every time he does something fucking weird or stupid, I watch the stock go down and buy more of it.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's going to change the fucking world, and I'm going to fucking cash out.
Yep.
And he single-handedly being the company, not as the engineer, but his company single-handedly revolutionized the rocket industry. Nobody had reused rockets like he did. Apparently, the last launch of one of his rockets for his satellite system was the first time like one rocket was reused 10 times. That's never happened in the history of rocketry like that.
Well, when he reused a rocket the first time, that was the first time that had ever been done. When he reused it the second time, that was the first time that.
Yeah, he was making
done.
firsts every time it launched. That's right.
And
it didn't blow up.
And his SN-10, SN-13, whatever it is, his Starship apparently landed for the first time.
Yeah,
ever.
it did. I think it was SN-14 and.
Oh no, it's landed a couple of times, but that was the biggest one that he's landed so far.
Well, okay, there's a difference between landing and sticking it for the long term because he landed the time before.
Yeah,
it
he's
landed
done that at least once or twice.
Right, it landed and sat on the pad for about 3-4 minutes and then exploded.
Right.
That's like, oops. Oh well, we almost had it.
What I love too is if you went to the SpaceX YouTube page, they only had the part where it landed and it cut off after, like 30 seconds of it sitting there on the pad.
Yeah, it was more like
on the news. They're like, yeah, it sat there and exploded.
Right. It was like 3 or 4 minutes actually.
I'm surprised they don't do a super cut of that because that seems to be like Elon Musk seems to be that type of person. Like, hey, it exploded. It's cool.
There's got to be a meme out there of that.
Well, I mean, like
he made that announcement.
No, there absolutely is, and he's absolutely released videos of his own rocket exploding.
Right.
Because fuck yeah, it's cool.
That's why I love
it's cool
Elon
when
Musk.
There's nobody in it.
And he gets so much shit by the FTC for talking about Dogecoin or whatever it is and cryptocurrency. And every time he does, there's got to be an army of lawyers going, did he do anything wrong? Because FTC, FCC, or whatever those alphabet agencies.
I want to know why he's trying to promote that cryptocurrency so much, and because every time he mentions it, the value goes up.
Probably because he thinks it's hilarious. I mean, what did they used to say back in the aughts for the lulz?
Yeah, well, I mean,
look at the bunch of kids did a bunch of Redditors did that to GameStop.
I wanted to do that with Bitcoin when it first came out, and I never did jump on the doggone bandwagon because I said it's not worth anything. It's crypto. It could just go away like that. And then somebody pointed out to me, well, your dollar bill could do that as well. And it was like,
right.
I didn't think about
what was
that.
the last time the U.S. dollar was backed up by gold?
Yeah, well, it's backed up by anything.
Or backed up by anything other than fucking,
our word.
Collective fucking, this collective thing that we all agree to every time we wake up in the morning. This piece of paper is worth something.
Yeah.
It's backed
it's worth
up.
something because we agree that it is.
It's
Exactly.
backed up by the good faith of the U.S. government. And just ask everybody who is in the Tuskegee experiment. They'll say how amazingly trustworthy the United States government is.
They're very trustworthy. Just ask Biden.
Oh, jeez.
Wait a minute. We can't air this now.
Why?
Because you just ruined it. You talked about the government. The little men are going to come out now.
We didn't mention politics. We just mentioned something screwed up they did. Like how they've...
Little men.
You're going to have to bleep that out.
How about the fact the United States government has lost at least one atomic bomb or one H-bomb on U.S. soil, and they still have no idea where it went.
So, next story.
So I got one.
Good go.
So y'all have heard of George A. Romero, right?
Remind me. George A. Romero.
The Zombie King.
Oh, the Zombie King. Okay.
So he apparently he lost a movie. Apparently, George A. Romero's lost 1973 movie is restored and ready to stream. George A. Romero's widow, Suzanne, has deemed The Amusement Park the director's most terrifying film. And this is of May 6, 2021. It's a great time to be a fan. Thank you, IndieWire, for having an effing pop-up right in the middle of this. It's a great time. It's a great time for fans of the late horror icon George A. Romero. The news broke at the start of the month that Romero's widow is planning to bring the filmmaker's final zombie movie script, Twilight of the Dead, to life with a new director, and now comes Shudder's release of the official trailer for Romero's long-lost 1973 feature film, The Amusement Park. The film has been restored and finally coming to streaming this summer. 3 years after the author and Guillermo del Toro's collaborator Daniel Krause first announced the film had been discovered and that he had been seen the cut. I think this is awesome. I love the fact that there's a film that had been lost somewhere that has been released. I just wonder what George A. Romero thought of it.
Hey, John.
Did they get a new director to cut the movie, or
so
what's the new director thing?
So the new one's apparently the filmmakers find the zombie script, the Twilight of the Dead. So it's the final. So there's two
separate things.
Yes, it kind of runs together a little bit, but the Twilight of the Dead is the last script he wrote before he passed. And apparently in 1973, he shelved or decided not to release the one called The Amusement Park.
Okay.
So what were you saying? Yeah.
Speaking of pop-ups, are we no longer talking about Audacity?
It's not. I was going to say I was waiting for a little bit.
It's time for our sponsor.
Today's show is brought to you by Audacity, the
minutes
unforgettable party game for mischievous people. They have online monthly game nights on Discord, so make sure you stop by their Facebook page for event times and dates. You can also grab a free quarantine version of the game straight off their website. Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people. And so I want you all to go to Audacity's YouTube page and check out some of the videos. I'll bring my deck next week so we can maybe randomly read one of the cards. I want to at some point soon get one of the people from Audacity on the air. I think that would be...
Sure, they should call in.
That'd be fun.
You said that like a month ago.
Hey,
yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to do it.
Did you gentlemen get your playing cards?
You bring them in the studio.
I know. I have an idea where they live. That might be a long drive.
So?
I don't know. Ryan, did you get your playing cards?
Early.
Ryan?
I did.
Maybe start trying.
So what did you think of said playing cards?
I like them. I like playing cards.
Good. There you go.
Because I was picturing you open this package from me and you're just like, what the fuck? That was my first thought is you just like, oh, thanks. Geez.
So
I guarantee he forgot that you said you sent him something.
The memory went up in smoke?
So I know Jonathan's
at first I thought it was like promotional material, and I'm like, wow, that's a hell of a fucking business card to pass out.
Good. Yeah, that would be, huh?
If they were cheap enough, I totally would.
There was this is going to drive me crazy now. There was a Western character that used to hand out playing cards as his business card.
Maverick?
No, and it's not Have Gun Will Travel, which was, it was a kind of an offbeat thing, but okay, that doesn't matter. Long time ago. So any of you guys ever renting a car anytime soon?
No.
Okay, well, so there is a nationwide, worldwide chip shortage for automobiles. And
Chip shortage?
Chips. So the chips that run all our computers inside our cars make our cars run.
Like Ruffles?
No. Computer chips.
Really good.
Computer chips. So computer chips in our cars, there's a shortage, and the manufacturers are not able to get these cars. They're producing all these cars, but they can't ship them because they can't run because there's no chips. And so they're stacking up cars all over around their factories. And the rental car companies are running out of cars. And they're saying that for the summer, if you have any family that's flying anywhere or going anywhere to any destination, that rental car costs are going to double and quadruple compared to what they were this time last year.
My wife said, was it Hawaii? It was one of the
Hawaii.
One of the islands. Like they sold off all their cars because it was more economically it was worth them economically to sell all their cars than to
Viable.
leave a bunch of cars sitting and going south.
Sure. No, they understood. And now they don't have any cars. Hawaii is a particularly bad place because, it's not like you can drive a car over there and put it on the back of a truck and go. They all have to be shipped.
Hey, never underestimate it, Clem. He'll be like, hey, Clem, let's go,
Yeah. Anyway, so they do have a problem. So rental cars, they said, will be more expensive, particularly in Hawaii and probably Alaska too, for that matter.
Used car prices are insane.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, at this point, I'm kind of thinking, hey, does anyone even want to buy my my extra car? Might be worth selling it.
I don't know.
Mileage may vary if it'll get you anywhere. So
Probably.
I learned something. Apparently, not only is there going to be a new Blade movie, they're going to hire a black director. Which my first thought was, wait, there's going to be another Blade movie, and why?
As long
Yeah.
that's
No.
what I was thinking. Why is there another Blade movie?
So this one is, so last time I heard, this is not supposed to involve Wesley Snipes at all.
Well, he's getting a little long in the tooth to be doing those things.
That was bad. Oof.
You can get them filed down.
I was just
Hey,
shocked.
that's good. You got to give me credit for that one.
I guess the question is, in the world of superhero movies, is everybody ready for another superhero vampire movie?
Why not?
Well, he's Marvel, right?
No.
Yes. So he's with
I
Spider-Man.
thought he was Marvel.
Yeah, he's
Maybe-
with he's
oh,
with
he was
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Universe.
Yeah, because there's an episode of the 90s
With
Spider-Man
him
that he
and
shows up.
Wolverine and Spider-Man and yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways. All right.
Okay, well, all right.
A Marvel superhero movie in a couple of years, I think.
The funniest things, I remember there's a couple of movies I remember that kind of changed the culture. One was The Craft. One was The Crow. And Wesley Snipes' Blade, the first one, did it. Because for a while you saw all those vampire glyphs all over the freaking place up here. So I guess... What's that?
Pay attention, I guess.
Oh yeah, because I noticed, because I liked the first movie, so, and I liked little text and stuff they
You mean
created.
in people's notebooks?
No, I saw them on the side of buildings. One particular building that used to be a major entertainment complex over in our area, somebody had apparently climbed over the roof and painted a giant one on the roof itself before they tore the building
You were
down.
on the roof?
Oh, you could see it from the freeway.
Okay. I have no recollection of that.
So apparently it's part of the MCU's Phase 4 or Phase 5. But apart from the lead actor, the rest of the cast hasn't been picked, but I don't see on this one where it actually says who the actor's actually going to be.
I mean, they're not going to have Spike Lee do this, right?
That might be interesting. You know what?
James' audio quality is terrible, this call.
You know,
Yeah, as if superhero movies aren't preachy enough.
You know,
Yeah.
to be honest, I've never seen Spike Lee do a superhero movie. It might be worth to see what he can do with it. Blade wasn't a particularly preachy character, though. Maybe he could make an all African American cast of what was it? It was that vampire movie.
That wasn't a
Priest. Do a reboot of Priest. No,
reboot. They're currently doing it.
they're rebooting the movie Priest.
I don't know.
You know which one I'm talking about, right? That's the one about it's based off a comic book.
Well, this is all right. This is not real Flicks reviews. Let's
You guys are
get back.
breaking up
You're
pretty bad.
talking about the TV show Priest.
Oh no, yeah, I was talking about the movie Priest that was released with Carl Urban and a guy I can never remember.
I'm thinking.
So anyway,
Completely different thing.
Right.
Well, since you're having an issue with our conversation, you get to pick the next story.
well, I've already brought up a couple, but you know what,
keep going.
Ryan? Let me ask you something. Do you like water?
Like drinking it or playing?
Either drinking it, bathing.
He's a fan of water sports.
Do you like
last time
water,
I heard.
Ryan? And there he goes.
Wow.
Just as I was about to ask him a question, and it doesn't do me any good. I can't give a guy in Southern California a problem unless he's on the show.
Ryan,
Yep.
All right.
are you there? Hello. This
What are you
is
talking about?
Well, it's all right. If it's
called priest.
priest. Yeah, wasn't it? It was close
I
enough.
see a homosexual Catholic priest finds out during confessional that a young girl is being sexually abused by her father. I mean, but
No,
that was 1994.
No,
That
it
was
was.
a movie. You're talking about.
I'm gonna find it. Damn it.
Yeah, go find it because I think you're full of shit. I think you're making things up.
No, I'm not. Because I think Lucy
Yeah,
Liu
you
was in
are.
it too.
Anyway, Rob.
Yeah, priest.
we got
Okay, here.
John-
Well, I won't.
Okay, well now I'm going to be proven right since Ryan is for
That's
some
great.
reason.
let's
What were you
just see if
talking
we.
about, Rob, about water?
Ah,
So
water.
it's priest.
I really need to
2000
get the guy in Southern California problems for this, though.
Hold on,
Oh, okay.
mute.
Oh, who do you mute?
Ryan, are you there? This is
Technical difficulties today. Audio quality is crap. Phone connections are crap. I wonder if their interface would go with landline.
Ryan. Are you there? Hello. Well, this is the first time we've gotten the dude in months, and now we're having
and now
technical issues.
we can't even talk to him. Dang it.
So it was Priest 2011. Was an American action horror film directed by Scott Stewart, and the actor stars Paul Bentley. And it's based off a Korean comic book. So
At least it's not our internet today.
No, didn't Seth
Yeah, but
Rogen?
Carl
Yeah,
Urban
Seth
isn't in
Rogen
it.
do.
Seth Rogen?
Didn't Seth Rogen do one?
I don't actually know that because this is the only one I know of that's based off of this comic book. Because this was the one where these kids were like people were kidnapped or something at an early age because they could fight, and this particular priest was older who had a daughter. Shenanigans happened, and it was Carl Urban, and he's like one of my favorite actors, so I saw it based off him being in it.
Oh, okay. So back to the story. Ryan, are you back with us?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. You like water?
When I'm forced to.
Just so you like to.
No, I do like water.
So you drink water, right? And
He's-
you know,
he's a
you
Coca-Cola
like your
man.
showers and all that stuff,
As a
right?
carbon-based life form, I am a fan.
Okay, so so California is facing another year of drought, and probably you remember when you were a kid, you were all raised in drought times, and you couldn't run through the sprinklers because water was rare, right?
People were selling it on the street like gold. Hey, you want
That's
some
right.
water?
Hey, what's up? We got some water for you. Well,
got-
that's the way it's going to be because we're about to cut off your water to Southern California.
I'm okay with that.
Are we back in drought territory?
We are way back in the drought territory. Our wonderful governor came out and finally admitted it. We're in a mega drought, and all the western states really are.
Well, at least we don't. He doesn't have to worry
Mega
about.
drought?
Yeah,
He
multiple
actually
years
said mega drought.
of multiple years of dry winters. The snowpack this year was 50% of 2 years ago, and it's not been good. So many of us in Northern California are finally going to say we're going to turn that spigot off to Southern California and just say goodbye because you'll just dry up and blow away.
We're going to have to use it
We
just
have
to
all
put.
the water.
Yeah, but we're going to have to use it all to put out the fires.
That's a pretty good idea because oh man, do I not give a fuck about a drought. Let me tell you. So my girlfriend bought a shower head a few weeks ago.
One of the new super
And
low flow.
I've had a couple of decent shower heads in my life.
This was not it.
And this was not it. So what had happened was she gets home
She
with
bought
this
it off
thing,
Wish?
and the one that came with the apartment was good enough. It was actually like good pressure and all of that. But it was just that slight bald swivel head. It didn't have the hose or anything
Right.
like that.
Sure.
So, like washing out the shower was kind of a pain in the ass. You didn't have anything you can pull down and, what have you. So she gets this new shower head, and I put it in, and the trickle coming out of this thing, I wouldn't fucking water plants with. Like, it was disturbingly weak. So I'm like fucking looking at it.
For
and I'm
Menulik a
looking
little.
into the hose, and later on, spoiler, through some research, realized that there's some like low flow shit,
super low
that's
flows. Yeah.
put in. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and it's specifically sold in like California and shit
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
So I'm like looking at it and I see this little screen that's in there and I'm thinking, okay, man, maybe that's what's blocking it up. It doesn't seem like it's, you know, a thick enough screen to really slow the water pressure down, but let me yank this fucking thing out of there. And I did, and I plug it in and it's the same bullshit trickle. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Right. I take the hose off and right under the handle, like inside of the handle portion, is this little blue plug, and I'm fucking looking at it, and I can't possibly imagine how water has even been getting through it in the first place. It's like, I mean, you might as well, to my eyes, might as well put a cork in this thing. I'm like, how is this even let water through? This is remarkable. And I'm sitting there and I've got a couple of tools in front of me and a knife, and I'm sitting there about ready to fucking just go to town, get this thing out of there. And grabbed a pair of pliers, grabbed it by the little tab and pulled it right out. And it was way easier than I thought. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's simple. And I go plug it in. It starts peeling the grout off of my fucking bathtub.
Ladies and gentlemen, the MadTrio podcast does not recommend tampering with any sort of water-saving device. Please research any and all local laws regarding this.
I absolutely encourage you to tear this shit apart and pull that little blue. It was blue. It had like a little rubber gasket on it, and just pair of pliers popped right out. Don't have to worry about it. I recommend it 10 out of 10.
Old Guy Tech TV LLC, which owns the MadTrio podcast, highly recommends researching all laws and local.
We deny any responsibility.
No, we talked about this. We talked about this before the show. This was entirely sanctioned. I don't know why you guys are backing out now.
Yeah, well.
You apparently like water, but do you like gasoline?
As much as I drive, not currently.
Well, you're going to hate it even more. You guys heard about the hackers?
Yeah,
Friday?
good, nice thing. That's mostly East Coast and down into the South. So.
Oh, it's going to affect
Hackers
us.
are
We're
fucking hacking
insane if we
gasoline
think
now.
it's not going
So, ladies
to.
and gentlemen, please hold on about hackers till after this. Do you want to keep up to date on the maddest of the mad at the MadTrio podcast? Check out our social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to themadtrio.com.
So anyway,
Now
the
everybody
Russian.
put your tinfoil hats on.
That's right. Russian hackers did hack. I can't remember. James, you have the story in front of you?
Yeah, I did. They hacked the Colonial Pipeline and took many of its systems offline.
Yep.
And that shut down approximately 45% of the East Coast petroleum products, including gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel.
Wait, hold on. So that was straight. Wow. So the other things that this is going to affect is going to be plastics.
Well, it all
makeup.
depends where the factories are. But I think the bigger story here is the United States government, including our president, came out and told the Russian government, because this is a Russian hacker group that admitted to doing this, and the system's still not like that. The United States government came out and told the Russian state that this is your responsibility to deal with a hacker group within your country.
That basically just means you kill them.
Well,
Yep.
it would be in the best interests of.
Send them out to the gulag.
It should be interesting to see what happens, because if I was that Russian hacker group inside Russia, and I knew that the Russian government was out for my ass, I'd get the hell out of Dodge.
So what
Fast.
So what's really going to happen is the Russian hacker group who's probably allegedly being sanctioned by Russia, because let's be honest, you don't do anything in Russia without Putin or the Kremlin knowing. Most likely what happened is they're going to say, okay, you got to move out of the corner office. You can go down to the tool shed with Bob.
Yeah, well,
Because I guarantee they're going to be.
interesting, huh? You think that the government of Russia is actually involved with this?
Well, China has their own. We know where China's hacking thing is.
Unless
So
we know where China's at, and but the
I
Russian,
guarantee
Well,
it's
the Russian gang dark side, supposedly, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But
ooh, the enemies of Superman.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past the
45%
government.
of the
They
East
definitely
Coast
have
pipeline,
state sponsored.
that's a lot.
Ryan's right. It would be interesting to see if this came out. It was,
but at the same time, though, the whole OPEC nation, isn't that Russia?
No, OPEC is. I think they're in it, but it's like Saudi Arabia and the other oil producing states.
It's all the oil. Yeah, OPEC is all the oil producing states of
the Midwest. The
yeah,
Mideast,
well, so you
Midwest.
got all of
Oh,
Saudi
sure,
Arabia,
okay.
and Kuwait, and all those countries.
Because I thought Russia had a fucking stake in the oil game.
Well, they do a lot of. So what I've heard,
They have a lot of their own oil that they're pushing across.
I heard Europe gets a lot of oil from them, and
so
a lot
none
of their
they're like
a lot of their.
selling to us all the time or anything.
And I heard years ago, a lot of their economy right now is based on oil. So anytime oil hits low, the last time I heard of it's true is it really affects the Russian economy too. So this is probably something.
Sure.
And for a while, we were a giant. We were starting exporting oil again under the Trump administration. I don't know what we are doing now.
Yeah, who knows?
We just need to go and invade, all of the Mideast and take all their oil. Like everyone says we're doing.
Yeah.
So the
There
thing
is that.
The thing I'm going to be curious is what actually goes up in price, because I know like makeup, lipsticks, and stuff have petroleum in it. Plastics have petroleum in it. Besides, the standard gasoline, which in California it's probably going to hit $5 or $6 a gallon if it's as bad as they think it is in some parts.
Man, I'm waiting for every fucking old timer to start coming out of the woodwork talking about the old days when they were rationing gas.
Hey,
You mean the
let me
1970s?
let me tell you something. Wait a minute. Yeah, James is right.
There you go.
Let me tell you something, buddy. I lived through those days, and we had our odd and even days, and we waited. I could tell you that Paul and I actually waited in line overnight at a gas station to fill up our cars.
Shit.
I'm telling you, it
Ran out
was
of gas,
not.
had to get out of the car, had to push it into
was
it.
not pretty. Those were pretty. It's amazing the country got through it. That was serious shit.
So
I've heard stories about it all my life.
I don't think it's going to be that bad. However, I do think, and this is a guess, if things don't get better, I bet we're going to have an economic downturn. I bet this may affect even more if they don't figure out how to get it bumped up, because everything right now is petroleum based.
Yeah.
Italy.
So limber. You can't even burn wood in your fireplace anymore. It costs too much.
I mean, it's even. Even food products require
everything.
Petroleum.
And between lumber prices, building material costs, now fuel shortages. We're going to go in. My prediction is we're going to go into a recession. The way our government wants to spend money, this no problem. We're just going to put billions and trillions of dollars towards stimulus packages and everything else going on here. And who pays that? Let's keep raising corporate taxes. He's talking about pushing corporate taxes to over 25%. 25%.
See, this is not fair. This is not fair. At least the 20th century got a 10-year party before the 30s hit. They had the Roaring 20s. We're skipping straight from the Roaring. We're going instead of the Roaring 20s, it's the plagued 20s. This is not fair. I demand a recount. This is
going to be just crazy. Just crazy. Not going to be fun at all.
And people think I'm crazy for wanting to start raising animals and shit.
Whew. Okay.
Time to get the Bessie out of the shed and say, "Come here, Bessie. I need a hamburger."
Hey, I still want dude wipes.
It's going to kick over your oil lamp.
It'll be a hot time in the old town tonight. That's
right.
for sure.
Still want to sponsor by Dude Wipes. I bought a package of their stuff.
So Dude Wipes.
We keep trying to get Dude Wipes to come in to be a sponsor.
See, you want Dude Wipes? I think it'd be hilarious to get a feminine product because it would make me giggle in the end. The shits and giggles make it laugh. I think it'd be funny. This would be the MadTrio podcast sponsored by Always.
I just want to start with Dude Wipes.
We're gonna have a conversation later, John, about demographics.
Well, here's the thing. According to some of our analytics, in one particular spot, we have a 100% female audience.
They like hearing the.
Because you have one female that listens.
That's
to
right.
it.
One.
And
I
that's
was
not
gonna
counting
say,
the one.
but hey, that's statistics. You know what they say? There's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics.
Yeah, that's right.
So technically,
Yeah, I
we have a
mean,
heavily technically we have a heavily female audience. It
There
just
you go.
happens to be a female
Yeah,
audience
luckily-
of one.
Luckily, we have girlfriends and wives.
Well, I actually
John's
don't.
wife doesn't listen to this. She doesn't like me.
I-
She thinks I'm crazy or something. I don't know.
I don't think my wife's listened to an episode, and she likes James. I mean, she likes James as much as
In
everybody.
person, she likes me in person. She doesn't like me on the show or picking movies.
The picking movies. That's what she says. She says James has shitty taste in movies, and so
Yeah, but you're the one that brought up E.T.
Wow.
the Killer. Has she seen that yet?
I don't think she would like it.
She still like her
Well,
father.
you
What's
had her
her
watch it.
opinion? What's her opinion of your extensive anime collection?
It's taking up too much room.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a waste of space. But honey, there's this amazing movie. No, I've been trying to get other
I'm
people.
surprised she flips James shit for his fucking movie taste when you have just about every fucking B anime movie ever made.
I actually have some real.
Oh, now he's going to get defensive. Just
No, no,
watch.
no.
Now he's I got some good stuff too, dude.
Well, I
If
have.
I had 10,000 movies, I'm sure I could stumble across a
Couple of
hundred
good ones. That's
Well,
right.
I have some really good ones and some really bad ones, and at this point, some very obscure ones. So it just depends on
See, his
mileage
problem
may
is they
vary.
thought they were going to be investment grade anime, and it hasn't turned out that way.
You know, and at this point in time, you give it in a couple of years when they stop making DVDs, maybe it will be worth
well,
money.
You never know. Yeah, somebody's going to have to
You
keep
know,
making DVD
tell
players.
ya, I'm gonna sound like the old guy now. what I miss, I've never had a problem with the whole nerd culture becoming what it was, or what it is now, because like, oh no, that's my stuff, you can't like it, I liked it first. None of that, right? The problem is obscurity I used to be able to keep up with obscurity. You know, like James and I's and Charney's friendship was almost founded on obscurity of this
Yeah,
weird fucking thing that nobody saw. And if I saw something that he had, and he'd be like, wait, what are you talking about? Let's show it to me. And James would be like, dude, you've never heard of this fucking thing? We're watching that right now. You know,
pretty
because
much.
there used to be things you could keep up with. Now everything's so fragmented that everybody's got their obscure thing that they like. It doesn't feel special anymore, you know, or like that we all can share the same fucking things. Like I can't keep up with your obscure thing. I'm trying to keep up with my obscure thing.
I would say it was different to some degree than what it was when we were younger, when we were going into stores and all that. We all had a base a base reference for what obscurity is, because the internet, it's really hard to have that foundation. Like we could go in our local video store, and all video stores had basically the same thing, in some degrees or another. Even the obscure titles. Now,
Right, but we all went to the same stores, and the different stores all had those same 10, 15 fucking movies that nobody ever rented.
exactly.
They were just there, and you're like, and eventually after hundreds of times in the store, you're like, you know what? I've been staring at this box for fucking 2 years now. I'm just gonna fucking watch it.
Those were, by the way, when I worked at Hollywood Video, those were usually the movies that I would put on at midnight when I shut the door, and once in a while people would look in the door at midnight going, what the fuck are they watching?
Yeah.
Because you don't realize, like, some of these older movies, there were that PG rating. Well, it's a rough PG.
Outlaw Josie Wales.
Yeah, oh,
is
yeah,
fucking
sure.
PG.
So,
Oh yes, that's
so
right.
that was Hollywood Video. Did they have a porn section?
No,
No.
they had it mixed
No,
in
you
with
had
things.
to know which movies had nudity.
Well, I
And
just trying to figure out.
you had
Yeah.
to know there.
And see, that was an art in and of itself.
Well, the other thing was
Luckily, all
I
of
don't
our
even think
parents
they
were
carried
savages and didn't give a
NC-17, did
shit.
they?
no, they'd never.
Rob, you're the parent that's actually in this group here.
Yeah.
The parent of an adult person.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
And
gonna
of a
say.
generation when we were raised on TV and movies. What was the age where you just didn't give a shit or had very limited criteria of John watching rated R movies.
Well,
nudity was the big thing. Anything with any sort of nudity was beyond like a second or two was
But
really
was it
forbidden.
like okay, you could still watch it, but just cover your eyes kind of thing?
Yes.
that's when ratings were coming out, and you were looking at what. So we tried to go by the guidelines. I think like any parent does
Obviously
to a degree,
not
but
Margaret Thatcher's guidelines.
but to a degree, I
was it the baddies?
I was certainly a lot easier than his mother. That's for sure.
So like I
What
have
year did
this.
Howard the Duck come out?
So I have this one recollection. I have this one recollection of memory.
Whatever
Can't
that
speak,
word is.
of a movie, and it was a vampire movie, and I remember like across the somewhere my mom was on one end of the couch and I was in the other. I remember there was like a split second nude scene or something. My mom covers my eyes, like, what did I miss? Come on, what did I? It's like, but they didn't really care. It's like spiritual horror movies. I wasn't really allowed to watch. Anything with over the top violence varied. If they knew of it, like Trauma, I don't think they knew of.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would have never been in my parents' crawl when they were like the ones renting the movie. But my dad was not about to not watch the new Lethal Weapon just because I'm fucking sitting there.
Yeah, I guess. Well, they took my
Right.
parents. I mean, I was blessed because I got to see like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade in theaters. I got to, I got to see a lot of these
Wayback
movies,
Machine Gun.
and then they took me to Cool World.
Oh Jesus Christ!
and it's one of my favorite memories because as a kid I didn't really get I didn't get the reference to it because I didn't care. I thought it was a fascinating movie. I still think it's interesting, but now it's closer to Fritz the Cat in my book than it is to what it was.
Boy, did I get in trouble for that one.
Did you really?
Oh man, I bet.
Your mother just laced into me on that one.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, that was interesting times. Thanks.
That's amazing.
Because I have great memories of stuff like that. My favorite movie memory actually revolves waiting in line to see the first Jurassic Park in our four screen cinema up here. Because my aunt had been waiting in line for a couple hours, and we hopped in line right behind her, and that was kind of what my family did in the weekends. As if there was
Regal 4 was open then?
Yeah, Cinema 4 was open when it came out because we saw it in there.
Wasn't that a Regal or was that a cinema?
No,
No, that
Cinema
was
4.
before Regal, and I think it was when it was where Riley's Auto Parts is right now, and that was a 2.
That's the
No, it
one
was
I'm
4.
thinking
There
of.
were 4 screens there because it was called
Yeah, there
Cinema
were
4.
Screens, yeah.
Was it? Because I thought that wouldn't become 4 until I moved across the street down. Anyway,
No,
doesn't
because
matter.
that was in Main Street. That was in Main Street, Placerville.
No, they were 4. Yeah, the Tower Theater was 2.
Not that anybody
Those are
of our
2
listeners care.
No, but I have great memories of
care
it.
if the
So
listeners care.
I don't care. Yet.
So I got to see a lot of amazing movies that reflecting on it. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be as comfortable with that with my son, but I'm assuming it was depending on like my personality type. Minus my mom like kvetching at my dad for taking us to Cool World.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Is my folks, and I'm sure probably pretty similar. Is like okay, you know what? He can have a frame of reference for these concepts and not have it be bad or anything like that. You know, they had the same kind of criteria of nudity. I get the eyes covered, and a little too much nudity. Might be like they might not have realized what it was going to be when the movie started, so I'd get kicked out. And then have to stand there and watch it from the hallway like a pervert.
In a trench coat.
You know what movie I was actually surprised that my parents let me watch as a kid?
What's that?
Now that I watched it as an adult, Twins, the Danny DeVito Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
Wow. Yeah.
There was nudity.
Apparently,
in that.
I haven't fucking seen that movie in a long time. There was
Watch it
nudity
again.
in that movie.
Yeah, there's some nudity and some cursing in that movie, and I've watched it, later on as an adult, and I'm like, I don't remember this as a kid.
Do you know what my favorite feature of when DVDs came to fruition was the zoom
Step by
feature?
step.
The Zoom feature.
Zoom feature and step by step, because as a guy, because
Hey, you know what?
Because I love
this is more information than I want to know.
Well, I love like as a geek, there's like the little things in the background that you don't necessarily see, and like
okay, just tell me that, John. You're just looking at the things
like for
in the
example,
background.
like one thing when I made my own DVR back in the day, and James and I were watching WWE. And this guy took a sledgehammer to the one guy's hand, and we went frame by frame, second by second, and watched how he did that. So I used to do that in movies, and you just see certain little things behind the scenes and what you didn't notice, and it was my favorite thing, because you got to see like a split second, you see like wires pop out on an effect.
So the first two ones I ever did the step-by-step on was in The Patriot, where the cannibal gets loose and tears through the front lines.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where the guy's head disappears with the cannonball. So I went step by step on that. And it was really cool to see the frames and how they did it, because you just kind of saw like the cannonball blur get right up to his face, and then it's just a red streak. So it's really cool. But, you know, and then the other one was Braveheart, where William Wallace rides in on a horse and takes the mace and crushes the guy's skull.
Yeah.
If you step by step,
I did the same thing in Gladiator a couple times.
You can see just one frame where the head changes right before the strike. And it was really cool to see how they did that. But yeah.
See, Zoom was my
that's
Zoom
what
was my
I
favorite
like
feature.
seeing the little cuts and stuff like that.
So
where
Rob,
they
we didn't
cut
really use
for
it
things,
always for nudity.
Instead of being like how Negan bashed Glenn's head.
Yeah. It was not exclusive to nudity.
Yeah, but there were scenes that you always kind of wondered, did they have the nude suit in there? And for guys, there's always a nude suit there.
There's
Oh,
no.
And I think Ryan will agree.
What's that?
No, we weren't looking for nude suits.
Nude suits.
No,
but it's just as a geek and as a film geek, though, it was most of it was just behind the scenes stuff that if you do it right or yada, that it was fun, because that's half the fun of me going to Disney now. What?
Exactly. Yada yada.
Well, you know, it's funny.
but yeah.
So I started by asking about Hollywood Video and having a porn section. I remember when videotapes and rental stores were so actually before we got Hollywood Video up our way, there was a little local
Select video.
Yeah, it was a little
Select Video.
Yeah, and it was locally owned. And you know, this guy popped up his. I mean, you know, at the time it was a decent selection, but he had a section back there that was sectioned off for adults only, and it used to be interesting. I used to like to stand there
The
and watch
proverbial beaded curtain.
What? Yeah, I used to love to watch the people walk in and out of it, and then I always waited to see who did I know that was going out of it.
See, this one was.
I used to, as a kid, try to make eye contact with the dudes coming out of there and make them really fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, see, this one I actually remember.
God, like 2 out of 4 times they'd walk back in and just fucking wait till I left.
See, this one back
It was
then.
pretty funny, but you got eye contact with people, and especially with somebody you knew, it's going in there. I know what you're doing, dude.
This store, because I remember it so much. I remember it. It was an actual door, so it was even funner because you had to see the guy physically open the door. And beforehand, they had like this giant D-ream binder of like titles and pictures. Because I remember, I remember like trying to figure out what are they looking at. And I caught a glance. It's like, oh god. And see these people like looking to select their prawn, and they're just like, oh yes, I want this one. I'm thinking that's got to be the. And there, one particular instance, there was this young lady there, and I'm thinking, that's got to be like the most embarrassing and or the most hilarious thing ever.
Oh, I thought it was always funny when couples would go in there.
Oh God!
Pick out their favorite.
You know, the one up in the one by Gold Harvest, the little store there, they had like basically a corner.
Yeah.
That was where they kept the adult titles, and they had that D-ring binder. But the funny thing was that the partition wall wasn't high enough, so your head was hanging out while you were staring at the binder.
It's like when you're at the urinal and that
one.
Oh God, I hate
goes
that.
up to like shoulder.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
That's
No, that's funny. Well, that's prior to the really internet becoming anything, that was every little mom and pop shop and every gas station corner. Everybody had their little section of porn. Those things.
I always thought it took balls to walk into the select video, the video store, and select a porn. It's like you've got brass balls. If you're looking at if you pick up a tape, you know what you're doing. The guy behind the counter knows what you're doing. That's just
everybody knows what you're doing.
That's just an odd interaction. Like I just couldn't imagine doing that.
You think they ever asked them to sanitize it before?
That's right. I was thinking about the poor kid putting the tapes. Poor kid putting the tapes back. It's like, God, do I really want to touch these things?
That's the thing is in Hollywood.
No, I would imagine they take them back like the bowling people take back shoes.
That's right. Lysol them down, man.
Because when I worked at Hollywood Video on the VHS tapes, you had to, in order to check it, you would squeeze both ends and have to flick your wrist to get the VHS tape out. So I could imagine being kind of like, fuck it, it's there, and to hope to God to God the guy didn't replace it their family home videos.
Wait a minute, you didn't rewind this one.
Excuse me, sir, you didn't rewind.
You didn't rewind.
By the way, that was a total misnomer. Like, I don't think my store I worked at had any video rewinders. So half the time, I bet the people putting it in were like midway through the movie. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Your fucking Hollywood Video didn't have a video rewinder?
No.
I had fucking 7 video rewinders.
This particular
was in Southern California, Ryan.
Well,
and you were later in the Hollywood Video.
Where this particular store at the time was the busiest store in Northern California. It was, you never had time. Like Christmas time, my favorite interaction during Christmas time. I had been asked so much for like a certain Christmas movie. The guy said, "Hey, can you hold it for me?" I said, "You know what? I can hold it for you."
What were we just talking about? What are you holding?
Yeah, well, December. You'll get your copy December 25th, 2055, by the amount of people who have asked for A Christmas Story.
Oh, jeez.
It was.
I tell you,
just buy the damn thing.
I know.
I tell people this now because it's funny. I don't know if it was the same for Hollywood Video, but everybody had late fees.
Oh yes.
So I was a Blockbuster kid. People would be fucking shocked the amount of discretion that I had to get rid of late fees. Shocked. I mean, really, they just let me run wild with like, hey, look, if it's a repeat customer, and you feel like this is, like erasing their late fees is more important than losing their business or what have you, then do what you need to do. And this was told to me, and I asked my manager, I'm like, hey, what do you mean by this? Like, what is my fucking particular authority? He's like, look, get rid of late fees if you want. Don't do it too often. But like there was people, it was the classic fucking be a dick. See where that gets you. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't erase any of these. That's just in the system. Or I can erase half of them. Or if I like you, guess what? No late fees for you.
I could never clear late fees. I didn't have the authority. However, I could write a note in the memo that said never clear late fees. And I did that to a number of customers who over my time there were really pissed off. For some reason, they couldn't remove late fees. I remember some poor lady had $1,100 in late fees. And literally the person, the manager said, "You're going to have to give us a couple $100 before I let you rent any movies." She's like, but I returned it. Not by what I'm seeing here.
So now I was,
yeah.
Was it one
I was
movie or
baffled.
It was multiple movies, like a stack of them. She would rent like 10, 20 movies at a time, I think.
With video stores, you don't. At a certain point, they would basically, like the system, at least a Blockbuster would sell you the movie. Like, oh, you've had this for 8 weeks. You now own this movie. Like we've charged you all the late fees. We feel like charging you. Now you just bought this movie. It's yours. But here's the thing is that video stores don't buy movies at retail. They don't buy them at, $20. They actually buy them from a distributor who assumes you're going to be making X amount of dollars off this movie, and that movie's like $250.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just racked up a couple $100 in late fees, and now you just bought this movie for like $200.
Well,
So people would come in and they're like, how did I get that many late fees? I'm like, well, the price of the late fees was this. The price of the movie was this. Watching people's eyes bug out of their fucking head when I told them the VHS that they just rented it cost them $200. It just one of those did not compute things.
I learned that the hard way when one of my favorite movies, I asked him, hey, is it possible I can just buy this instead of renting this all the time? It's like, yeah, it's like $300. It's like, fuck it, I'll wait a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Because I don't think my dad wanted to buy me a $250 movie.
Did you ever ask him?
I didn't have to
never
ask.
Happened.
I wouldn't have had to ask my dad, hey, Dad, can you buy me this $200? I know what the answer would have been. It would have started with an F and ended with a U. Or a Y, depending.
Did you ever accrue late fees while working there?
A couple of times, but it was just, one of those things that I just, I paid. The only thing that you would get in really trouble for is you could rent new release movies the night before they came out. And so I remember the manager saying, this has to be returned tomorrow. And if you don't return it tomorrow, you would get in trouble. Of course, this manager used to go out and disappear and get herself stoned. So I don't know if anybody would ever get in trouble for it, but I remember getting and talking to about it. I still remember that chick's name too. I just thought of it. So Ray Lynn, if you're out there, I know what you were doing now.
Oh yeah, I remember Ray Lynn.
You could have taken me with you instead of getting bitched at by customers. I would have been a little bit of fun.
Well, that was just a wonderful episode. Good to hear from you, Ryan.
So
yeah, man.
Are you going to be here next week?
What the fuck is that?
Are you going to be here next week? Come on.
Yeah, fucking Lord willing, if the creek don't rise.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James the Fat Man Stevens, Rob the Old Guy, and who the fuck is this Preston who's here? Oh my God. As always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
In 3, 2, 1, welcome to the MadTrio Podcast.